There is a particular kind of loneliness that few people speak about. It does not come from having no family. It comes from having a family and still feeling forgotten. Perhaps your children once ran toward you whenever they were afraid. They called your name when they were hungry, tired, hurt, or uncertain. You knew the sound of their footsteps. You knew which stories calmed them at night. You knew how to recognize sadness in their faces before they said a single word. For many years, you were the center of their small world. But now, days may pass without a call. Messages may remain unanswered. Holidays may feel shorter than they used to. Visits may become hurried, distracted, or increasingly rare. You may look at the phone and wonder whether you should call again, or whether calling too often will make you seem needy. You may tell yourself that they are busy, that they have careers, partners, children, responsibilities, and problems of their own. And perhaps all of that is true, but understanding why they are distant does not always make the distance hurt less. Sometimes, late at night, a painful thought enters the mind. After everything I gave them, how could they forget me so easily? Perhaps you sacrificed your sleep, your comfort, your dreams, and even parts of your identity to give your children a better life. You worked when you were exhausted. You worried when they were late. You stayed awake when they were sick. You forgave words that broke your heart. And now, when you need only a little time, a little warmth, or a simple conversation, it may feel as though their lives have moved forward without you. But Buddhist wisdom offers a gentler way to understand this pain. Not by pretending that the distance does not matter. Not by telling you to stop loving your children. And not by blaming you for feeling hurt. Instead, these teachings help you love without losing yourself. They help you release expectations without closing your heart. And they remind you that even when others do not give you the attention you hoped for, your life still carries value, beauty, and meaning. In this story, we will explore 5 Buddhist truths for parents who feel forgotten by their children. The 5th truth may be the most difficult to accept, but it may also be the one that finally brings peace to your heart. So take a slow breath, let your shoulders soften, and for the next few moments, allow yourself to set down the questions you have been carrying. You do not need to solve your entire life tonight. You only need to listen. In a quiet village, surrounded by pine-covered hills, there lived an elderly woman named Mira. Mira had raised 3 children. When they were young, her small home had never been silent. There were wooden toys scattered across the floor, wet shoes beside the door, bowls waiting to be washed, and voices calling to her from every room. "Mama, where is my coat? Mama, can you help me? Mama, stay until I fall asleep." Mira had once believed that those busy years would never end. At times, she had dreamed of having a quiet afternoon to herself. But the years passed more quickly than she expected. Her children grew up. They left the village, found work in distant cities, married, and built lives of their own. At first, they visited often. Then, the visits became less frequent. Weekly letters became monthly calls. Monthly calls slowly became brief messages sent on important days. Every evening, Mira placed a chair near the front window. She told herself that she enjoyed watching the road. But in truth, she was waiting. Whenever footsteps approached, her heart lifted. Whenever the footsteps passed her house, her heart fell again. One autumn afternoon, a traveling monk stopped in the village. He was old, though not as old as Mira, and carried nothing except a cloth bag and a wooden bowl. Mira offered him tea. As they sat together, the monk noticed that she kept glancing toward the road. "Are you expecting someone?" he asked. "My children," Mira replied. "Though they do not know I am expecting them." The monk looked at her with kindness. "Then perhaps you are not waiting for your children," he said. "Perhaps you are waiting for your life to begin again." Mira frowned. "My life began when they were born. And did it end when they left?" Mira did not answer. The monk lifted his cup and watched the steam disappear into the cold afternoon air. "Love gives life," he said, "but when love becomes waiting, it can slowly become a prison." That evening, the monk shared 5 truths with Mira. They did not cause her children to return. They did not make the phone ring, but they changed the way she lived inside the silence. And sometimes that is where healing begins. When someone becomes distant, the mind often rewrites the past. It begins to question everything. Did I fail as a parent? Did my sacrifices mean nothing? Did they ever truly appreciate me? You may look at your children's absence and use it as evidence that your love was wasted. But love is not made meaningless simply because it is not returned in the way you expected. A seed does not become worthless because the tree grows far from the place where it was planted. Years ago, in another village, there lived an old gardener named Thomas. When Thomas was young, he had planted a row of cedar trees along the road that led through the valley. People laughed at him. "These trees grow slowly," they said. "You will be an old man before they give any shade." Thomas continued planting. Many years passed. Children played beneath the trees. Travelers rested beneath them during the heat of summer. Birds built nests among their branches. But few people knew who had planted them. One day, a young traveler saw Thomas watering the last cedar sapling. "Why do you still do this?" the traveler asked. "Most people will never know your name." Thomas smiled. "The tree does not need to remember the hand that planted it," he said. "Its shade is enough." Parenthood is often like planting a forest whose future you cannot control. You give your children language, shelter, guidance, comfort, and values. You teach them how to cross the street, how to apologize, how to care for themselves, and how to continue after disappointment. Many of the things you gave them may have become so deeply woven into their lives that they no longer recognize where those things came from. Perhaps your son speaks patiently to his own child because you once spoke patiently to him. Perhaps your daughter comforts a friend with words she first heard from you. Perhaps they are able to survive difficult days because you gave them strength long before they understood what strength was. They may not call often enough. They may not express gratitude clearly. They may not understand the price you paid, but your love has already entered the world through them. It is alive in ways you may never witness. This does not mean you must excuse cruelty, disrespect, or neglect. Buddhist compassion is not the same as accepting mistreatment. You are allowed to acknowledge that something hurts. You are allowed to establish boundaries. You are allowed to say, "I love you, but I cannot continue being treated this way." The first truth is not that distance does not matter. The truth is that distance does not erase what was real. The years you gave were real. The love you offered was real. The meals you prepared, the nights you stayed awake, the lessons you taught, and the comfort you provided were real. Their current behavior cannot travel backward through time and remove the love you placed into their childhood. Mira listened carefully as the monk explained this. But what if they do not remember? She asked. The monk pointed toward an old cedar tree growing beside her home. Do you remember every drop of rain that helped this tree grow? No, Mira replied. Yet every drop played its part. Your child may not remember every sacrifice you made. They may not remember every morning you woke early or every fear you carried in silence. But they became who they are through countless acts of love they no longer consciously remember. Do not measure the value of your love only by today's phone calls. Some forms of love continue beneath the surface, like roots beneath frozen ground, invisible but not absent. Take a slow breath. Think of one thing you gave your children that still lives through them. Perhaps it is kindness. Perhaps it is courage. Perhaps it is discipline, humor, faith, generosity, or perseverance. Say quietly to yourself, my love was not wasted. Again, my love was not wasted. What you gave has already become part of the world. The human mind likes visible proof, a call, a visit, a message, a gift, an invitation. These things matter because they make love easier to recognize. But suffering begins when we decide that only one form of love is valid. Mira told the monk, if my children loved me, they would call. The monk did not disagree immediately. Instead, he asked, when you were raising them, did you always show love perfectly? Mira looked down. No, she admitted. Sometimes I was tired. Sometimes I spoke harshly. Sometimes I was too busy. Did that mean you did not love them? No, never. The monk nodded. Then perhaps imperfect behavior does not always reveal the full condition of the heart. This teaching must be approached carefully. It should never be used to deny obvious neglect. A person who repeatedly dismisses you, insults you, manipulates you, or appears only when they need something may not be offering a healthy relationship. But many adult children are not deliberately rejecting their parents. They are drowning inside their own lives. They are raising children, working long hours, facing debt, struggling with marriage, carrying anxiety, or trying to understand who they are. Some feel guilty for not calling and avoid calling because the guilt has grown too large. Some fear that every conversation will become an accusation. Some do not understand that their silence feels like abandonment. Others love their parents but have never learned how to express love with consistency. A young monk once asked his teacher how to know whether someone truly loved him. The teacher placed 2 bowls outside the monastery. During the night, rain fell. By morning, one bowl was full and the other contained only a little water. The young monk said, the full bowl received more rain. The teacher shook his head. The same rain fell on both bowls, but one was turned upward and the other was tilted away. Sometimes love is present, but the relationship is not positioned to receive it. Resentment, unspoken expectations, old arguments, and fear can tilt the bowl. You may call your child and begin with, you finally remembered that I exist. To you, this may be an expression of pain. To your child, it may sound like punishment. They may then avoid the next call because they expect to feel guilty again. This creates a painful cycle. You feel forgotten, so you express hurt. They feel accused, so they withdraw. Their withdrawal makes you feel more forgotten. Then your hurt becomes even stronger. Neither person may understand how to stop. The Buddhist path teaches mindful speech. Before speaking, we may ask, is it true? Is it necessary? Can it be expressed with kindness? This does not mean hiding your feelings. You can say, I miss hearing your voice. I know your life is busy, but regular contact would mean a great deal to me. This is different from saying, you never care about me. One communicates a need, the other defines the other person's heart. There is another important truth. Your child may love you and still disappoint you. Both things can exist at the same time. Love does not always produce emotional maturity. Love does not automatically create good communication. Love does not prevent selfishness, distraction, or mistakes. When you stop trying to measure the entire relationship by the frequency of calls, you create space for a more honest question. What form of connection is realistically possible between us now? Perhaps it is one scheduled call each week. Perhaps it is a visit once a month. Perhaps it is exchanging photographs. Perhaps it is writing letters. Perhaps the relationship needs healing before closeness can return. And perhaps, in some painful situations, peace will come not through increased contact, but through accepting limited contact without allowing it to destroy your self-worth. Mira asked, should I stop hoping they will call? The monk replied, hope may visit your home, but do not give it the only chair. You can hope, but let other things sit beside hope. Friendship, learning, rest, community, nature, prayer, service, laughter. Do not leave the entire house of your life empty for one expected visitor. Place one hand over your heart. Notice the desire to be remembered. Do not judge it. It comes from love. But say gently, a quiet phone does not define my worth. Again, a quiet phone does not define my worth. You are more than the attention you receive. You are more than another person's ability to express love. One of the hardest transitions in parenthood is moving from being needed to being included. When children are young, they depend on you for almost everything. Later, they begin to make decisions without you. They choose careers you may not understand. They move to places you did not expect. They marry people you may not have chosen. They raise their children differently. They develop beliefs that differ from yours. They may ask for less advice. And sometimes, when you offer guidance out of love, they hear it as control. This can feel like rejection, but in Buddhist teaching, attachment often disguises itself as protection. We tell ourselves, I only want what is best for them. But beneath that sentence may be another. I need them to choose what I believe is best. Long ago, a mother brought her adult son to a respected teacher. My son will not listen to me, she complained. He has left the work our family prepared for him. He wants to become a musician. Please tell him he is making a mistake. The teacher looked at the son. Why do you wish to become a musician? When I play, the young man replied, I feel awake. The teacher then turned to the mother. When your son was an infant, did you teach him to walk? Yes. How? I held his hands. And did you hold his hands forever? No. Eventually, I had to let go. Why? Because otherwise, he would never learn to walk alone. The teacher smiled. You understood then what you have forgotten now. Parenting begins with holding, but it must eventually include releasing. This release is not abandonment. It is trust. A bird protects its young, but if it never allows them to leave the nest, protection becomes imprisonment. Many parents suffer because they continue measuring their importance by how much influence they have over their adult children. When the children stop asking for advice, the parent feels unnecessary. When the children choose differently, the parent feels disrespected. When the children form new families, the parent feels replaced. But your role has not disappeared. It has changed. You are no longer required to stand at the center of every decision. You may now become a quiet source of steadiness, a place they can return to without fear of judgment, a voice that says, "I may not understand every choice, but I am willing to listen." This does not require approving of dangerous or harmful behavior. Wisdom includes discernment, but many differences are not dangers. They are simply differences. Sometimes parents lose closeness because every conversation becomes advice. Every visit becomes correction. Every choice becomes a debate. The adult child begins to feel that love is available only when they live according to the parents' expectations. Then, distance becomes their way of protecting their independence. Ask yourself gently, when my child speaks, am I listening to understand or waiting for a chance to correct? Do they feel accepted in my presence? Can they tell me the truth without fearing disappointment? These questions are not accusations. They are doors, and a door can be opened at any age. Mira remembered her youngest daughter. Each time the daughter visited, Mira criticized her work, her clothing, and the way she raised her children. Mira believed she was helping. But suddenly, she wondered whether every visit had felt like an examination. "I wanted to guide her," Mira said. The monk nodded. "A lamp helps people see the road. It does not pull them along it. Your children must walk their own path. They may take roads you would never choose. They may learn through mistakes you hoped to prevent. They may return to some of your teachings years later, or they may build a life shaped by entirely different lessons. Their path belongs to them. Your peace begins when you stop believing that their choices are a final judgment of your parenting. A child's life is influenced by many things: temperament, culture, friends, opportunity, pain, chance, fear, desire, and their own karma, the consequences of their choices and actions. You were part of their beginning, but you were never meant to control the entire journey. Picture your child standing at the beginning of a long road. You may wish to choose every turn for them, but instead, imagine placing a lamp in their hands. Say silently, "I gave you what light I could." Then, "Your path belongs to you." And finally, "My life still belongs to me." There is a deep difference between being loved and being needed. When children are small, the two are difficult to separate. They need you and they love you. Their dependence gives your days structure. There is always something to prepare, fix, clean, arrange, or protect. Then one day, the need becomes smaller. They can feed themselves. They can solve their own problems. They can live in another house, another city, or another country. And a painful question may arise. If no one needs me anymore, who am I? This is not only loneliness, it is a loss of identity. For decades, you may have introduced yourself through your relationships: a mother, a father, a wife, a husband, a caregiver, a provider, but beneath every role, there is still a human being. A life that existed before others depended on you. A life that still deserves to be lived. At the edge of a mountain village stood a bell tower. Every morning, an elderly man named Soren rang the bell to announce the beginning of the day. For 40 years, the villagers depended on its sound. Farmers rose from bed. Shopkeepers opened their doors. Children prepared for school. Soren believed the entire village needed him. Then one spring, the village received a large mechanical clock. The clock rang automatically. Soren was no longer required to climb the tower. At first, he felt useless. He stayed inside his house and listened bitterly as the new bell sounded. "No one needs me," he said. One morning, he wandered into the forest. There, he found a group of children trying to repair a broken wooden bridge over a shallow stream. Soren had worked as a carpenter when he was young. He showed them how to support the weakened boards. The next day, he helped a widow repair her roof. Later, he began teaching young people how to work with wood. Years passed. When Soren died, the automatic bell continued to ring. But throughout the village stood tables, bridges, doors, and homes shaped by his hands. He had believed his purpose was to ring one bell. Life had been waiting to show him that he carried many kinds of music. When your children no longer need you in the same way, it does not mean you have no purpose. It means one purpose has changed. There may be parts of you that were set aside during the years of caregiving. Perhaps you once loved painting. Perhaps you wanted to learn another language. Perhaps you enjoyed gardening, reading, singing, walking, cooking, writing, sewing, or working with your hands. Perhaps you wanted to travel. Perhaps you wanted to volunteer. Perhaps you simply wanted to sit peacefully without being responsible for everyone else's emotions. Your children's independence can feel like a door closing, but it may also be the first time in many years that another door becomes visible. Buddhism teaches that clinging creates suffering. We often think clinging means attachment to possessions, but we also cling to identities. I am the one who solves everyone's problems. I am the one who keeps this family together. I am valuable only when someone depends on me. These beliefs may once have helped you survive, but now they may be causing pain. Your value is not created by being needed. A flower does not need to be useful to deserve sunlight. A river does not need applause to continue flowing. Your life does not require constant service to justify its existence. You are allowed to experience joy that belongs only to you. You are allowed to rest without earning it. You are allowed to build friendships that are not connected to your children. You are allowed to make plans without waiting to see whether they will visit. You are allowed to become curious about who you are now. Mira looked around her small house. For years, she had preserved the rooms as though her children might return at any moment. Their old belongings remained untouched. Their favorite bowls still sat at the front of the cupboard. She had stopped attending village gatherings because she feared missing an unexpected visit. Her entire life had become an empty waiting room. The next morning, Mira opened every window. She washed the curtains. She moved her chair away from the road. Then she went to the village school and offered to teach the children how to make bread. For the first time in years, she returned home tired for a reason other than sadness. Nothing about her children had changed. But something in Mira had begun to return. Ask yourself, what part of me has been waiting to live? Do not search for a grand answer. It may be something simple, a morning walk, a class, a conversation, a garden, a book, a meal shared with a neighbor. Say gently, I do not need to be needed in order to matter. Again, I do not need to be needed in order to matter. Your life is not over because your role has changed. You are not an empty nest. You are the sky around it. The deepest suffering comes when we ask another person to give us what we have never learned to give ourselves. Attention, reassurance, permission to rest, a sense of worth, a feeling of belonging. You may believe, I will feel peaceful when my children call more often. I will feel loved when they finally understand my sacrifices. I will feel whole when the family becomes close again. Perhaps those things would bring happiness, but any peace that depends entirely on another person's behavior remains fragile. It can disappear with one missed call, one forgotten birthday, one cancelled visit, one careless sentence. Buddhist practice invites us to build a refuge within, not a wall, not emotional coldness, a refuge. There is an ancient story about a woman who traveled through a storm to reach a monastery. Her clothes were soaked, her feet were bleeding. When she arrived, she begged the teacher to allow her inside. I have lost my home, she said. The teacher brought her to a small room, gave her warm tea, and asked, What was your home? A house beside the river. And before that, the home of my parents. And before that? The woman was confused. The teacher touched his hand to his heart. Every outer home is temporary, he said. The body changes. Families change. Houses are lost. People leave. Learn to build a home that can travel with you. The woman stayed at the monastery for several months. She learned to sit with her breath. She learned to observe sorrow without becoming consumed by it. She learned to speak kindly to herself. Years later, she built another house, but she no longer confused the house with home. To become your own peaceful home means learning to remain beside yourself when others are absent. It means not abandoning yourself simply because someone else has become distant. Many parents spend years offering compassion outward and very little inward. When your child is hurting, you may say, you did the best you could. But when you are hurting, you say, you should not feel this way. When your child fails, you offer encouragement. When you make a mistake, you replay it for years. When your child needs rest, you tell them to slow down. When you need rest, you accuse yourself of being lazy. The compassion you gave so freely also belongs to you. Imagine speaking to yourself as you once spoke to your child during a difficult night. You would not say, "Stop crying. You are too old to feel lonely." You might say, "I am here. This hurts." You do not have to face it alone. Begin offering those words inward. The distance between you and your children may or may not change. Some relationships can heal through honest communication. Some improve when expectations become more realistic. Some require boundaries. Some remain complicated, and some may never become what you hoped. Acceptance does not mean approving of the situation. It means ending the inner argument with what is already happening. The mind says, they should call, they should understand, they should appreciate me. Perhaps they should. But when reality does not follow the word should, the mind creates endless resistance. Acceptance says, this is what the relationship is today. Now, how can I live with dignity, openness, and peace? You can leave the door of your heart unlocked without spending every hour standing beside it. You can love your children without chasing them. You can miss them without disappearing into the missing. You can hope for closeness while still building a meaningful life. You can forgive without returning to unhealthy patterns. You can remain kind without begging for affection. This is not giving up. It is standing up inside your own life. Several months passed after the monk's visit. Winter covered the village in snow. One evening, Mira returned from teaching at the school and found a letter beside her door. It was from her oldest son. He apologized for being absent. His work had become difficult. His marriage was struggling. He admitted that he often thought about calling, but felt ashamed because so much time had passed. Mira sat near the fire and read the letter twice. Months earlier, she would have answered with all the pain she had stored. She would have listed every missed visit and every unanswered message, but now she paused. She allowed herself to feel the hurt. She did not deny it. Then she wrote, "My dear son, I have missed you more than I knew how to say. There were times when your silence hurt me deeply, but I do not want guilt to become the only road between us. You may call when you are ready. I am learning to live well, and I hope you are learning the same. My door is open. With love, Mother." Mira sent the letter. Then she returned to her life. She did not place the chair back beside the window. She did not spend each evening listening for footsteps. Sometimes, her son wrote. Sometimes he did not. Eventually, he visited. Their relationship did not return to what it had been when he was a child. It became something new, less dependent, less idealized, more honest. And Mira discovered something unexpected. She still loved her children deeply, but she no longer needed their attention to prove that she existed. She had become a home to herself. Take one slow breath in and let it leave gently. Imagine that inside your heart there is a small room. It is warm. It is quiet. There is a chair waiting for you. No one can cancel this meeting. No one can arrive too late. No one can take this place away. Sit with yourself for a moment. Say, "I will not abandon myself." Again, "I will not abandon myself." And finally, "I can love others without leaving myself behind." Let us return to the 5 truths. The first truth: your children's distance does not erase your love. What you gave was real. It continues in ways you may never fully see. The second truth: love cannot be measured only by how often someone calls. A person may care and still be distracted, immature, overwhelmed, or unable to communicate well. You can acknowledge disappointment without allowing it to define your worth. The third truth: your children must walk their own path. You can offer light. You cannot walk every step for them. Their decisions are not always a judgment of your parenting. The fourth truth: release the need to be needed. A changing role does not mean a meaningless life. There are still parts of you waiting to be discovered. The fifth truth: become your own peaceful home. Do not abandon yourself while waiting for someone else to return. Love them, miss them, welcome them when the relationship is healthy. but continue living. Perhaps tonight your phone will remain quiet. Perhaps your child will not suddenly understand everything you sacrificed. Perhaps the relationship will take time to heal, but this moment still belongs to you. This breath belongs to you. This evening belongs to you. Your remaining years do not have to become a long hallway of waiting. There are still mornings you have not seen. There are still people you have not met. There are still conversations, meals, books, walks, and quiet discoveries ahead. You are not only someone's parent. You are still a living human being. You still carry wisdom. You still carry tenderness. You still have something to offer, and you are still worthy of receiving care, including care from yourself. Now allow your body to become still. You do not need to hold your children in your thoughts every moment. For now, let them walk their path, and let yourself return to yours. Breathe in slowly, and breathe out. With each breath, imagine releasing one expectation. The expectation that they should understand everything. Release it. The expectation that they should express love exactly as you do. Release it. The expectation that the past must return. Release it. The expectation that you must wait before allowing yourself to be happy. Release it. You are not closing your heart. You are opening your hands. A closed hand cannot receive. A closed hand cannot rest. Let your hands soften. Let your jaw relax. Let the space around your heart grow wider. You may still feel sadness. That is all right. Peace is not the absence of sadness. Peace is the ability to make room for sadness without allowing it to become the entire sky. Your sorrow is one cloud. Your life is the sky. The cloud may remain for a while, but the sky is larger. You are larger than this one relationship, larger than this one disappointment, larger than this season of silence. Rest now in the understanding that you have loved, you have given, you have tried, you have made mistakes, as every parent does. You have also done many things well. You do not need to place your entire life on trial tonight. Let the past be imperfect. Let your children be imperfect. Let yourself be human. And as you rest, repeat gently, "My love was not wasted. A quiet phone does not define my worth. My children must walk their own path. I do not need to be needed in order to matter. I will not abandon myself." Let these words settle slowly, like snow falling across a silent field. Nothing needs to be forced. Nothing needs to be solved. You may love your children from a peaceful distance. You may leave the door open without standing in the doorway. You may carry hope without being carried away by it. And you may continue building a life that feels warm, meaningful, and truly yours. If this story brought comfort to your heart, remember that there may be another parent listening tonight who carries the same quiet pain. You are not alone. Many loving parents struggle with distance, silence, and changing family relationships. May you meet your children with wisdom. May you meet yourself with compassion. May the relationships that can be healed find a gentle path forward. And may you find peace even where you cannot control the outcome. Until we meet again, breathe gently, release what you cannot hold. And remember, your children may have left the home you created for them, but you are still allowed to create a beautiful home within yourself. Good night, and may your heart be at peace.